Hey, what's happening? What's happening, y'all? This is your boy, Intergalactic Brew. I'm back. I know I haven't been on the tube in a little bit, but it's cool. Kind of had some technical difficulties with my laptop, but everything is splendid now. We back on, and we are ready to rock and roll. Gonna do my UFC 146 predictions coming at you tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, 9 Central, exclusively on PPV. If you don't have it, or I'm sorry, if you don't get it, then tough luck for you. But I would really recommend that you buy this pay-per-view because from top to bottom, it's a pretty good card. I mean, it's an all heavyweight card, which is unprecedented in the UFC. So, all you heavyweight UFC fight fans out there, I'm sure you're going to be chomping at the bit on this one. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get to these bouts, man, and see what's going on. Right quick. Okay. Whatever. Okay, so the first fight that I want to talk about is Stephen Struve going up against LeVar Johnson. Now, I was looking at some other MMA videos, and particularly when it comes to this fight, a lot of people have found it hard to kind of choose the winner of this fight. Me, not so much. I mean, yes, both guys have very good skills, even though one guy is a little bit more well-rounded than the other, but still, the other guy's one skill can be pretty effective against the opponent. Y'all get what I'm saying, right? Anyway, y'all know who I'm talking about. LeVar Johnson versus Stephen Struve. LeVar Johnson came to the UFC, made his debut just a couple of weeks back. Came in with a bang, or if you want to call it that, against Pat Barry. It was a pretty good paced fight, to say the least. Although Pat Barry somehow displayed some pretty decent mat skills against LeVar Johnson. I don't think anybody saw that coming. But yeah, be that as it may, it happened. I think he took LeVar Johnson down, I believe, and even got the mount at one point. So yeah, it shows you that Pat Barry is at least trying to improve and become more versatile, because we all know how good his striking is. So yeah, that was cool to see. But for the most part, LeVar Johnson got the best of Pat Barry. He was nailing him with right hands and jabs and combinations, and he was basically pressing forward and just pouring it on Pat Barry for most of the fight until he was able to knock him out late in the first round. So that just shows you the type of power that LeVar Johnson does possess. And even when he was getting mounted by Pat Barry and taking damage from the bottom position, LeVar Johnson is tough, man. Like, he's tough to put away. I mean, I know a lot of people have done it, but I mean, hey, if you catch anybody with the right punch in the right area of the body, then anybody will fall. But LeVar Johnson, with that big chin of his, it's easier said than done. But with Stephen Struve, this is going to be really interesting. I don't think Stephen Struve, at least, logically, he wouldn't try to go for the knockout. in this fight. I think, he's going to try to kind of feed off of what Pat Barry did, try to take him down, get on top of him, mount him, and try to look for a submission. I really think that's going to be part of the strategy of the Skyscraper. Although, I would really like to see the Skyscraper use his size and his length more. Because, geez, he's like the tallest freaking fighter in mixed martial arts. Besides maybe, Hungman Choi. But, he's 6'11", near 7 feet tall. And you're telling me that, you haven't learned to use that length and that reach that you have, which is probably like close to 80 inches or whatever it is. But, yeah, Stephen, you got to learn to use that reach, man, and get that jab going and, use those kicks, with those long legs that you have. There's nothing wrong with submitting people. Hey, that's what makes you a threat. If you got the striking and the grappling, the more the merrier. But, like I said, if you're 6'11", and you've got, your arms are that long to literally where you just have to reach out and literally touch somebody one good time, they'll go down. But then again, at the same time, while he's that tall and that long, he's not really that big. Look at him. The guy looks like, a stream bean out there. I believe if he put on more weight, if he got in the weight room and he put on more weight and, he started to, eat a little bit more, get a little bit more beef in his system, then he could probably knock some guys out in devastating fashion, But yeah, but Stephen Struve definitely needs to, use that reach and that size a little bit more, so he can generate, more power in his kicks as well as in his punches. But like I said, I think all of that's going to be null and void this fight. I think he's going to look to want to take this fight to the mat and get a submission off of LeVar Johnson. Now, if this fight stays standing, I do give Johnson the edge, and I do believe that he will knock out Stephen Struve because, as we've seen, Stephen Struve has struggled with powerful strikers, aka Junior Dos Santos, a la Travis Brown, or Brownie, or however you say it. Even with Pat Barry, in their fight, Pat Barry, he hurt Stephen Struve really, really bad in that first round. And, Stephen Struve, being the tough fighter that he is, got to give him credit there, was able to come back and win that fight. He actually submitted Pat Barry, I believe. So yeah. Stephen Struve, doesn't bode well against powerful strikers. And LeVar Johnson is a powerful striker. And when the fight starts, he's going to come across the cage straight ahead, and he's going to, he's going to want to look to lay the leather on Stephen Struve. He's going to get that jab going, and once he feels like he's got Struve in his range, he's going to let his hands go, and the combinations are going to start flying, and eventually one of them is going to hit Struve right on the chops, and Struve's going to fall. I truly believe. Unless Stephen Struve could do something like really amazing and just like, get like a flying armbar or get some type of judo toss or something on Johnson to get him to the ground and submit him, that would be spectacular. But I don't see that happening. Like I said, I think LeVar Johnson's, I think his takedown defense is pretty good, so I think he can shut all that away. And like I said, he's going to let his hands go, and eventually he's going to land, and Stephen Struve's going to go down. So I'm picking LeVar Johnson with another late first round knockout. So there you go. Okay, next fight. is Stipe Miocic versus Shane Del Rosario. Now, this fight for me is really intriguing because, for one, I know of Shane Del Rosario. Matter of fact, I know him very well. Excellent striker, decent grappler. But the thing that has worried me about him when I've seen him fight is his conditioning. And I'm sure everybody's concern has been this about Del Rosario, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, if he's in good condition and he's focused, and if he uses his abilities to its best, then I believe he can win this fight. But Stipe Miocic is an up and comer. He's young, and he's gonna want to look to come in here and put Del Rosario away. Now, we know that Miocic is pretty good at grappling himself. I believe he's a D1 wrestler. That's kind of unique that a foreigner can excel to the D1 level of wrestling. I mean, it's not commonplace that you hear people outside of the United States excelling at the Division 1 level of wrestling. It's usually like the Olympic level or something along those lines. But anyway, he's a D1 wrestler, but he is also a very good striker as well, as is Del Rosario. But like I said, both guys have the grappling ability as well. Could this fight hit the ground at some point in the fight? Yeah, but I don't think any one of them is going to initiate it. I think for the most part, this fight will stay standing because like I said, Del Rosario's Muay Thai background is very, very good, as is Miocic's. I think he has a boxing background, I believe. So yeah, I think both guys are going to want to look to keep the fight standing. If it does go to the ground, I would give Del Rosario the advantage because he has submitted opponents in the past. So I definitely feel that if the fight goes to the mat, I think Del Rosario will will no doubt have the advantage there. This is kind of a tough fight to pick for me because Miocic looked really good in his last fight when he absolutely steamrolled his opponent. Del Rosario in his last fight, he looked pretty good. I forgot who he fought, but yeah, he looked really good and was able to get a omoplata submission, which was very good technique, all that stuff. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Del Rosario here. I mean, I think Miocic has a chance. I think he has a very good chance, matter of fact, to knock out Del Rosario. But I think that this is Del Rosario's first big televised fight in front of a worldwide audience, and so I think he's going to want to look to come out and make a good first impression on Dana White and the rest of the UFC. So I say Del Rosario wins this fight, possibly by TKO. I'm going to give it to him. Maybe I say either late second or early third. We'll go there. But the fight could end up hitting the mat, though. Who knows? If it hits the mat, I'll pick Rosario to submit him. But more than likely, the fight's going to stay standing. So I'm going to go with Del Rosario TKO second or third round. But yeah. hopefully Del Rosario doesn't, get tired, and Miocic just comes in and just just starts bombing on him, which could happen. That's still a tough fight. The pick. Going on, next fight we have Roy Big Country Nelson versus Dave Herman, or Pee Wee, or whatever you want to call him. In my opinion, for this fight, I think Roy Nelson has to win this fight. There is no other way. He has no other options. Either he wins or he's gone. Simple. Do or die, whatever type of cliche you want to use, that fits Roy Big Country Nelson. I mean, because granted, he's a tough guy. He's well-rounded. But he's also lost a lot of fights as well. I think he's on a 3-fight win streak, a 3-fight or 2-fight losing streak. I forget, but yeah, he hasn't looked very good in his past couple of fights, besides the one against Mirko Krokop. But go figure on that one. But anyway, yeah. But he's gonna have a tough time with Dave Herman, because I know everybody's gonna talk about his conditioning, which is very true, and this is why I got a feeling that Roy Nelson can win this fight, because Dave Herman is susceptible to getting tired early in the fight. So, with that being said, I think what Roy needs to do is, I think he just needs to, throw his weight around, so to speak, on Dave Herman. I think he just needs to close the distance, put him up against the cage, dirty box him, throw knees, takedowns, side control or mount, and either drop punches or go for the submission. Pretty much. I think the only way David Herman wins this fight is if he keeps it in the center of the octagon and stays away from Roy Nelson's power, particularly his right hand, and just try to land something, either off a feint or whatever. But he needs to set something up with the distance open, and just hope that he catches Roy Nelson on the button. That's the only way I see Dave Herman winning this fight. But what I really think is going to happen is, I think Roy Nelson is just going to, like I said, just throw his weight around, pin Herman up against the fence, land shots, short punches, knees. And I actually think Roy Nelson's going to be able to submit Dave Herman, because I don't think Dave Herman is that good off of his back. I mean, he's a good wrestler. We know that. But we all know that the one weakness of wrestlers is when they get on their back, they don't know what to do. And I believe that's going to be the same scenario here with Dave Herman. When Roy puts him on his back, I don't think he's going to know what to do. So I'm going to go with Roy Nelson by submission somewhere in this fight. I can't even pick a round, but I'll just say Roy Nelson will submit him. So, but like I said, if Dave Herman can somehow avoid the takedowns and keep the fight in the center of the octagon, and just move around, use good angles, and stay away from Roy Nelson's right hand, he could land something and possibly get a stoppage. We'll see. Okay, Cain Velasquez versus Antonio Bigfoot Silva, the co-main event. This is going to be a good fight. Like, some people are not giving this fight any credit, which I don't understand why. But I mean, for Antonio Bigfoot Silva, you know, the momentum that he had in Strikeforce coming over to the UFC, and with Cain Velasquez, you know, kind of like being humbled in his fight with JDS, and now trying to get back on track to the title, this has all the makings for a great fight. You know, I think this could be fight of the night. Like, really, I know that's kind of, you know, strange, being that this is the heavyweights or all heavyweights pay-per-view. But, you know, I really think this could be fight of the night. I really think these guys are going to come out and go all out. I think you're going to see all the skills displayed. So, yeah, I really think these two are going to tear the house down and kind of set the table for JDS and Frank Mir. But yeah, going on to the fight itself, I think Cain Velasquez needs to get back to using the wrestling. I think he got too comfortable with striking. You know, being that most of his fights did end by TKO. I mean, he beat Nogueira, he beat Lesnar, you know, Rothwell. So, you know, he's enjoyed using his striking lately, but I think he needs to get back to his roots in this one. I think he needs to use his wrestling, get those, you know, powerful slams, and you know, put Bigfoot on his back. Although Bigfoot is good off of his back, but I think he needs to you know, get on top in the mount, or needs to get inside control and just needs to do damage and wear out Bigfoot, and he could possibly get a TKO from there, you know. But if the fight stays standing with Bigfoot's power and his size, I think that Cain is in trouble, because Cain has shown that his chin is made of glass, you know. So yeah, I really think it's gonna all come down. It's gonna all come down to Cain Velasquez's wrestling ability, because we know what Antonio Silva's made of. We know that he's got, you know, the power in his punches. We know he uses the knees. You know, his jiu-jitsu is great. Well, I ain't gonna say great, but it's good. You know, he has good control from the mount. He has good ground and pound. So we know what Bigfoot's credentials is. I think this fight is going to be all about, you know, can Cain Velasquez do what he needs to do to win the fight, but do it in devastating fashion, pretty much. So, I don't know, man. You know what I think is going to end up happening? I think Cain is going to, you know, be stupid for some reason and try to stand for a good portion of the fight. And I think once he finally gets rocked by Antonio Silva, I think he's going to revert to the wrestling. And I think he's going to take Bigfoot down. And then I think that's when we're going to see Cain go to work. I just got that feeling that he's just going to, you know, stand with Silva, maybe for like the first round. And I think, you know, they're going to exchange, and I think Silva may end up catching him. Cain won't like drop, but I mean, he'll be wobbly. And I think, you know, Antonio Silva's going to try to, you know, close the distance and try to finish him. You know, just start, you know, throwing combinations. And I think Cain's going to, you know, somehow be able to duck under and get the takedown. And I think he'll damage Silva from there and TKO him. So I'm going to say Cain Velasquez gets the TKO in the third round. And the reason why I say that is because you have to realize as well, Bigfoot's chin is not all that hard either. You know, his chin has started getting, you know, kind of dusty too. It's starting to, you know, kick up dust. You know, y'all saw the Mike Kyle fight. Y'all saw what other fight was that? The Daniel Cormier fight. You know, Bigfoot can you know, he can be knocked out too. I even think Fabricio Verdum was able to, you know, drop Bigfoot, and Fabricio Verdum doesn't have that much power in his hands. So yeah, Bigfoot's just as vulnerable as Kane is. So that's why I said Cain Velasquez TKO 3rd round. But who knows? Cain Velasquez may end up getting knocked out again. It wouldn't surprise me. Not at all. Because like I say, he's probably going to be stupid anyway and try to stand with Bigfoot and probably get dropped and, you know, laid out like JDS did to him. So who knows? But I'm going with Cain still. I just got a feeling that he'll be able to beat Bigfoot. And then finally, the main event of the evening, and probably one of the most anticipated heavyweight championship fights in the UFC in a long time. Now, as we all know, just a little quick background story. This was supposed to be Alistair Overeem versus Junior Dos Santos. You know, two of the best strikers in MMA, and you know all of that jazz. But y'all know what happened to Overeem. I don't have to explain it. But yeah, fast forward from that and enter Frank Mir, a guy who is, in my opinion, the next best possible choice for this title fight. I think he's on a, what is he on, like a 5-fight win streak, something like that. You know, Frank Mir's been doing his thing, but you know, like undercover. You know, he's been winning fights, but you know, people have kind of like overlooked it because, you know, most of the ways that he won them were like so bad. But you know, he's still been winning. So it's only fitting that Dana White granted him the title shot. And he has a very good chance of winning this fight. You know, I think a lot of people, you know, count Frank Mir out too soon. I mean, I know he has issues with, you know, adversity in fights. I understand that, and I completely agree with y'all on that. You know, it seems like Junior Dos Santos said, you know, whenever he gets in trouble and somebody, you know, starts pounding on him, it seems like he just shells up and doesn't do anything about it. But also you have to remember that he's also come back from adversity as well. So, you know, just remember that. But it's really nothing much to say in this fight. I mean, simple foreplay. Frank Mir gets the fight to the ground. I think JDS is in trouble. Although, you know, JDS does have good jiu-jitsu. He's a brown belt on a Nogueira. We know that. But Frank Mir, you know, is a deadly black belt. And I think that's just a bad situation for JDS. But if the fight stays standing, then, you know, it's lights out for Frank Mir. And, you know, personally, I think that's what's going to end up happening. Although I do think this fight is going to hit the ground some way. And Junior Dos Santos is just going to barely escape danger and get back to the feet. And eventually end up knocking out Frank Mir. And I think that's going to happen in the 2nd round. A lot of people are picking the 1st round. I'm going to go with the 2nd round. So I'm going to go with JDS coming out, bobbing and weaving, doing his boxing thing, landing some shots on Mir, and Mir somehow, gets the fight to the ground for maybe like a few good minutes, nearly submits JDS. JDS escapes it, gets back to his feet, resets, and knocks out Frank Mir. So I'm going with 2nd round, knockout, JDS. So that's my predictions. Y'all enjoy. I know this has been a pretty long video. I don't care. If you want to watch it, fine. But, if you don't, whatever. I wanted to make a prediction video. So, there you go. But, yeah, y'all enjoy the fights. And, yeah, man. First UFC heavyweight pay-per-view. Let's hope it delivers. Peace.